Yes.
They just have
Podcast. I put your podcast in there.
Mm-hmm.
Turn that off. Okay.
We're streaming. Hey.
Oh, all right. Yay. Happy Friday. Happy Freedom Friday with Dawn. And I am super excited that we have a very special guest, my dear friend, Diane Huth, the accidental career coach. And before I introduce her and bring her on, I was wanting to know how many of you would like to be paid for what you know. If that sounds interesting, drop a comment or drop us some hearts. Love to have some love this morning. And yeah, it's pretty exciting to be able to do that. So if you stay with us for the next 30 minutes or so, you're going to hear the 3 secrets on how to profit from what you know. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my online business partner here on Isla Mujeres. I'm so thankful that she moved here this past year. And I'm really thrilled that she was willing to do this interview because she's been on over 150 radio and TV appearances she's done. So she really knows her stuff. And I'm not going to steal her thunder, but I know she's written 2 books and is working on her 3rd. And she is known as the Accidental Career Coach. Thank you so much, Miss Diane, for being on today. I am just thrilled to have you here today.
Well, it's wonderful to be here and to be visiting with all of your followers. It's great. You know, like you, I have not been bored during this pandemic. I have been working around the clock, as you have been, because I'm a career coach. I'm helping people fix their job disasters, and I'm writing resumes, and I'm doing things around the clock. So I'm fortunate, compared to many other people as you are, to have careers that follow us anywhere so that we can sell our expertise and do it anywhere in the world, to have location independent income, which is wonderful. My next step is automatic recurring income that I don't have to put hand on mouse and work and do. So that's my next step that I'm working on. And that's part of the process I want to share with people. And I moved here to Isla Mujeres in September. And one of the very first people I met was my dear friend, Dawn. And we have been partners in crime. At the very first time we met, we talked about websites, et cetera. And oh my God, we both use ClickFunnels. We are the 2 people who are funnel hackers in Isla Mujeres. And we bonded immediately and have been doing such neat things. And Dawn has been really responsible in many ways for helping me get to where I am today in my current business. So, you know, you mentioned my books. I'm really a brand marketer. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but I ended up writing books to sell your expertise. This was not my expertise. I do marketing, but I tied marketing into a need that I identified. And then this is my 2nd book. I actually have, this is what I call my big books. And I have 5 more little books, which are basically excerpts of this, which are chapters of this that I grew up and made into a real book, much shorter book. But let me share my screen a little bit and share a little bit of my journey, if that's okay.
Please do.
Do that. Okay. And let me do, I actually worked, I told Dawn until the wee hours, of course, because I'm an overachiever, aren't we all? Talking about my journey and how we can live. You know, you talk about how you can live anywhere. I'm far over 50 and I have a vibrant career. And Dawn asked me to share like 3 secrets, how you can profit from your knowledge. So wanted to talk about it. Oops, how do I make the screen thing go away? Maybe it'll go way down here. Is there a way to minimize that? Yeah. So life's a journey and you never really know where you're going to end up. And I ended up here in paradise on a white sandy beach. Aren't I lucky? Oh my God. And not only that, I can make a living doing it. So I have and Dawn, we talked about this on my broadcast. I'm solar powered. That's kind of how I identify myself. And so I work at night, like I worked till 5 o'clock this morning. And then I go out and I play on the beach in the sunshine during the day. And I'm able to do that because I'm in control of my own destiny. I don't have to check in with a boss. I can make my own income and I can work when and how I want. And that's pretty cool. So it's a journey. Let me see if this is not advancing. Okay. So this is my journey from corporate America. Let me see if I can minimize this a little bit more. So this is my journey from corporate America. For 30 years, I worked for big corporations, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. I worked in marketing as director of marketing, vice president of marketing, a bunch of different companies. And now I live here, and it's like, and I make my living as a career coach. So I did a complete career pivot in many ways, and an author. So who would have guessed I'd end up here? You know, I never did. And kind of my mantra that I learned is you too can end up on a white sandy beach with location independent income. I earn in dollars and I spend in pesos. Like, how good does that get? It's like, how awesome.
Oh, great shot.
I know. So Dawn asked me to share some secrets. And one of the first ones is you really don't need to be an expert. You just need to know more than the next guy, right? So you need to do some studying. So I'm an expert at marketing, but that's not what I do. That my story is kind of interesting. I was teaching marketing and in the evening as an adjunct professor at 2 universities in Texas because I was with a startup and it kind of floundered and I was bored and needed something stimulating and I hadn't done this before. So of course I jumped in both feet first. And I actually got hired at 3 universities at the same time, 3 different teaching platforms, 3 different programs, 3 different classes, 3 different books. That's a whole different story. But anyway, for several years, about 4 years, I taught in the evenings at 2 different universities. And I taught marketing and branding and international marketing. And I discovered that my bright, talented students didn't have a clue on how to get a job. It's like, what do you mean you're graduating in 2 months? Let me see your LinkedIn page. Let me see your resume. They didn't have any. It's like, don't you guys know the basics? You just spent $130,000 on tuition and everything, and you don't have what you need to get a job. So I went home and I wrote a presentation and I gave it to them the next week. And then people say, oh, you had a great presentation. Will you give it to our marketing association, our business club? And gee, can you share the slides with me? And so I kept sharing and growing this content. And so it grew up to be a book. And so this was my first book. And it was, I showed it earlier, Brand You to Land Your Dream Job. This was written for my college students. And was interesting because I'm not a recruiter, I'm not an HR pro, but what I did is I married my expertise in marketing with the needs that I identified, and I created a unique branding platform. Combining marketing and career coaching. Now, I didn't know a lot of stuff that I know now. I wasn't an expert on a lot of this. I just knew from my 30 or 40 years in the business world and hiring people and applying for jobs, what I thought people needed to know. So I shared that expertise. But then as you start writing things, then, I got to research this and research. And I've been researching this along the way, but I really launched my platform with just my opinion in terms of expertise. Now, that kind of brings us to secret number 2. You need to refine your avatar, which is what we would call your target market. And that's define your who and your what. Because in this process, I discovered that my college students wouldn't buy books. College students aren't doing things. The bookstores and the colleges wouldn't. I tried to sell them to my own universities didn't carry my books in their bookstores. It's
wow.
Like, that's not great. And then there's this whole network of booksellers. They don't use Amazon. You have to use Ingram Sparks and And there's a whole process that goes around there. There's a learning curve that I went through. It's a very expensive learning curve. And then but the college students, I would give them free access. I would give them a copy of my book and they wouldn't read it.
Oh my.
I would give them, each of my students, I gave them a free copy of the book that I paid for and they didn't read it because they weren't interested. They weren't motivated. So I was out promoting my books and doing media interviews and doing all sorts of publicity. And that's when I discovered what I consider to be the real unemployment crisis. And that's baby boomers facing age discrimination. It's terrible, it's out there. And that prompted me to write my second big book, which is Brand You, Reinvent Your Career, Beat Age Discrimination to Land Your Dream Job. And I wrote that book for my baby boomers and for myself, because I'm unemployable today. I can't get a job. I can't get an interview for a job that I rocked 20 years ago because I'm too old for corporate America. I've applied for jobs. I had to network my way into the last two jobs because people knew me. But today things are on with the online job board. I could not get a job. And so that resonated with a lot of the media people that I was interviewing with, because a lot of those people were in their 50s and they were 60s, and they were in non-traditional careers. And, you know, when you're this age, you're kind of up against a wall because it's very, very difficult to get a corporate job when you're over 45 or 50 or even over 60. And it got an awful lot of interest from the media. And so I, like Dawn said, I've been over 150 media interviews on my television. I've been on CBS New York and San Antonio, and do lots of webcasts, and I do lots of podcasts and radio stations. But what happened is I'm doing a lot of this. I'm talking to people, but I'm not making a lot of money, because what I discovered is that you don't make money selling books. Okay.
I was just going to say, is that the recommended first step? Probably not after your experience with the book, right?
What it does is it establishes you as the expert, so you can then make money on other things. So I spent a lot of money in the last 4 years. I spent over $10,000 going to 2 media summits where I pitched media, where I got a lot of these interviews. I then was so impressed with this company, I signed up for $12,000 year-long media training program. And so was on seminars and was able to take advantage of wonderful training and coaching and summits and meetings, but it was still a lot of money. I spent $5,000 with a media coach to learn how to dress and appear and present yourself and pitch the TV stations and how to write TV scripts and things like that. I spent $2,000 learning how to get booked on podcasts, and did a podcast summit. And I spent $7,000 on a course learning how to be a keynote pitch sponsors. And I spent $2,000 on a course to become a keynote speaker. And it went on and on and on. And you know, I'm grateful that I learned all that. I've incorporated that into who I am and what I'm doing. But gee, I wish I'd had those. I kind of wish I had that $80,000 in my bank account right now. It would make my life a lot easier. And after all of that, I was still earning between $200 and $500 a month on book royalties. Now, you know, that's still, you know, a couple $1,000s a year, but that doesn't pay the bills. And it sure is not picking up the investment that I have. And that's when I discovered that a book establishes your credibility, so your followers will buy other products and formats from you. And then I learned you really don't need a book. You just need a platform. But in this case, you know, I'm a published author. I can give my book. It's a great tool to promote yourself and to establish yourself as the expert. So I'm a university professor and I'm a published author. So those are things that go on my bio and go on my presentation that help establish me as an expert. But you don't really need that. You need a story.
Right.
And so today I make a decent living writing resumes. Okay. I've discovered a platform. It takes a while to do this. You know, learning is really expensive. Trial and error is really, really expensive, isn't it, Dawn?
Right.
And so I discovered through a friend, there's a program that LinkedIn has called ProFinder. And it is a way that they match experts in a whole bunch of different industries with people who are looking to purchase services, coaching, graphic design, whatever. So I became a LinkedIn expert based on my credibility, because I'm an author and I'm a career coach in the media. I was able to be credentialed as one of their career coaches. And so it's allowed me to elevate from, you know, a lot of people charge $100 to write a resume. Well, I charge $495, $500 to write a resume and a LinkedIn page with a coaching package, because I have to do it anyway. You have to have a LinkedIn page that matches your resume, and I have to talk through people and help them get their head on straight and figure out where they want to go strategy-wise. So I'm going to do it anyway. So I put it together in a package, and it's $500. And so I get about 50 leads a day through LinkedIn. And that's a lot of hassle. So I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines, and I pay her $3.30 an hour. And she goes through 4 or 5 times a day, and she responds to all these people and sends them a canned messages, because you can't automate the responder in LinkedIn like you can with other programs. So she goes and actually sends each of these people, she copies and sends them a text and kind of qualifies them. And then they reach out to me, and the ones that have already received this. And then so I get maybe 10 a day who say, hey, I want to talk to you. Can we book a time? I'd like to like more. How, you know, how much do you charge, et cetera. So I get this stream, and then I go into this feed, which is a different feed that I have. I have all the other leads sent to a different email address, so it doesn't mess up my normal email. And she just manages that. And then I talk to people on the phone, and I spend half an hour explaining, you know, what's happening in the job market, and I close 90% of everybody I talk to on the phone, because I have a very persuasive pitch. And I explained to them they changed the rules of the job search market. Nobody sent us the memo, but I'm here to teach them how to do it. Explain the whole system. And at the end of the day, they say, let's get started. And they wire me $495. So, you know, I have a nice remote income. If I do 2 clients a week, that's $4,000 a month. That's $50,000 a year. And each client takes me about anywhere from 6 to 10 hours by the time I sell them and I do everything. So by working 16 to 20 hours a week, I can make $48,000 living in paradise on a white sandy beach, working at night and going out and playing during the day. So that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted more. I wanted automatic recurring income. I don't want to have to sit down and write resumes. It's like, okay, the first 150 were fine, but I'm kind of bored at it. I'd really rather be writing my next book or writing a new platform or building something new. But, you know, it's like, you know, I need $500. I go and contact some of those people and set up a call and sell them. And, you know, I sold a $600 package last night, so I got to start on it this weekend. Or, you know, it's a good income. I am fortunate at my age to be able to make that much money every month, sitting in my home office in paradise, working on my own speed. So I'm absolutely blessed. I'm busier than ever. I have an income that I can turn on and turn off by how active I get in recruiting people. And so I don't do more than 2 or 3 resumes a week. And a lot of times I've been so busy what I'm doing right now and so excited about what I'm doing today that I really haven't been paying attention and following up, but I've been letting a lot of these leads go. But I said, you know, I just have to get up and get, you know, I need $1,000 real quick. So I went out and talked to people. So you can do that. But I really want automatic recurring income. And so there's lots of ways to do it. And Dawn is showing you how to do that. And I had over the past, you know, several years looked at different ways. I looked at affiliate marketing, which is really, really interesting. And I have affiliate subscriptions for a lot of things. I just haven't done much with them. I haven't gotten there yet. And there's a whole bunch of things where you can resell on Amazon and things like that. I did invest in a course recently to learn how to increase my book sales and make hopefully thousands of dollars of sales on Amazon. And so I'm going to go into that because that's a great way of doing what I love, which is writing, and then getting into online courses. And I had a coach who really talked about that. That's one of the big trends. And so I paid one of my coaches $2,500 to build an online course for me. And that's how I got introduced to ClickFunnels, because he used ClickFunnels to build the course. And the course was how to craft a brilliant above the fold resume. So that's kind of the entry into kind of career coaching. And it's a great course. It's very well done. It's beautiful. I've got the whole thing. It's a complicated course. It's got lots and lots and lots of content. And there was just one problem, is that nobody bought it.
Right.
I didn't know how to market it. I spent money on ads, but the copy wasn't right, and I didn't have the placement. I didn't know how to do Facebook advertising. And the guy who wrote the course, he had promised that he was going to help me and launch it and make sure that the ads were set up and working. But he got off on a whole big project that he got involved in and kind of left me high and dry. So I just kind of hung in there. Now I use ClickFunnels. I fell in love with ClickFunnels and I used it, and I've been dabbling at it over the past year. And I used a website. I built my whole website, which I can show you if you want to get out of this presentation, using ClickFunnels. I had a website that was hosted with somebody else, and I was paying about $300 a month. Well, that's what I pay for my soup to nuts ClickFunnels account. I'm on the Premier, $297 a month. So I just traded off what I was doing hosting and paying for them to build my website that I wasn't happy with because it wasn't authentically me. It was them projecting what I should have been. And I didn't have control over it. I couldn't go in and click on it. They didn't give me permission. It was too complicated. You had to write code. So I had to send an email and kind of describe what I wanted. And then I had to pay them some more money. And then they would send me a draft a week later, and then I would send them corrections. And so I wasn't in control of my own media platform. And I really wanted to do that. So I was able to trade out about the $300 a month that I paid them for my own website. And so it pays for itself. If you look at that, I still have to pay $300 a month, but that's okay. And then what I learned is that, I got into the bells and whistles, and I learned how to do lots of lead magnets, and I built landing pages. And you can see I have like 7 different websites hosted here, and I have a ton of different lead magnets. Lead magnets are so easy to build. It's like, and they've got so many templates. And then I made funnels to do your free plus shipping book funnels. And then I started, saying, maybe the reason that my resume course isn't working is because other people will write a resume for $100. Maybe resume isn't the pain point, because I charge a lot for a resume, but you can go out there and there are systems that'll build a resume for $100. So maybe the value's not there. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do, what I really want is to teach people how to interview for jobs. So I created another course, how to ace the interview. But none of this resulted in sales. I was getting ready. I did all the work, and I did the videos, and I did everything. And I just copied the first course that I paid money for, a lot of $2,500 for, not knowing how easy it was on ClickFunnels. So I copied the course, and then I learned, I just do this, and I change it. So I copied what he had done and built this wonderful course. But I didn't launch it because it's like, well, if I can't figure out how to sell the first one, why am I going to invest money in trying to sell the second one? So I basically gave up. It's there. I've got my website, I'm doing all this. And then I decided to change my life. And so starting last summer, I did a beta test, and I came here, and I fell in love with these mujeres and decided I wanted to change my life. And so I spent the whole last half of last year moving here. I moved here in September and got involved in things. And then I was able to ramp up my career coaching to pay for my bills. But then I found myself all alone over the holidays, and there was no business. There was absolutely nobody doing anything. So I didn't have a resume for a whole month. So I was bored, and I was alone. And so I was chatting with Dawn, and she says, you really need to go through the ClickFunnels One Feliway challenge. Do that. And I had all this spare time. I had actually purchased the program over a year ago when I first did my course, but I was too busy to do the training. So I had registered and started with it, but I just let it lapse, and I never finished it. So I said, well, I got a month with nothing to do. So I just sat down, and every single day I went through the challenge. And because I'd already paid for it a month ago, it was free, open in terms of unlocked. So I could go as fast as I wanted through the modules. I didn't have to do the daily pacing, even though the daily pacing is really, really good. I could work as fast or as slow as I wanted. So I spent the whole month of December and into January learning this platform that I'd already invested in, that I had so much done. But it was amazing because I learned, it changed my life. I learned what was wrong. I had this expert that I paid a lot of money to build my course, but it wasn't set up quite right. It wasn't optimized, and it wasn't selling. And I learned through this ClickFunnels One Feliway challenge how to fix it. I discovered I didn't have a too good to resist offer value. I didn't explain the value. I didn't have what's called an offer stack that shows you get all this stuff and add on all these extras to make it a too good to resist value. I didn't have an offer stack, an order bump, which is, when you say, before you leave for just $20, you can get this. That's been proven to add more revenue. I didn't have an upsell. So it's like, okay, what's an upsell? Well, the logical thing they need is LinkedIn. So I could put together a LinkedIn course. So I already had a book that I'd published on LinkedIn, and I was teaching people, and I actually had recorded the training video. So it's like, oh, I'll just turn that into a LinkedIn course and charge $47 for that. So I just copied the funnel, the course funnel, and changed the logos and graphics and everything. And so I made that as my upsell. Like, I didn't have a downsell. Well, I have to have a downsell. Okay, so I came up with a downsell. I didn't have a sales strategy. And so with the coaching that I got on LinkedIn, it's like, okay, I mean, on ClickFunnels, okay, this makes so much sense. I didn't have an advertising plan. I didn't know how to put all this together. And I didn't have a value ladder, which is the monetization plan. I didn't know where to go. I had this $47 thing that I wasn't selling. And I had a free book course that I wasn't working, that I wasn't marketing. I didn't know how to do it. But I finally got the training that I needed to sell my expertise. I've got a lot of expertise. I didn't know how to sell it. And so with that month of training, I learned about the value ladder. And one of the things that's very interesting is consumers will pay more for the same content in different formats. So I have a book, you can buy my book as an ebook for $6.95 or like $14.95 and $16.95 for paperback, and that includes shipping. But people buy that, but they will pay $47 for a course to learn one section of it. And now I've just launched a course. I'll show you that I'm charging $297, which is basically all the information that's in that one book. They won't pay $7 for it, but they'll pay $297 in a different format. And then I worked at putting together a career fair and expo on how to reinvent your career. And then you have all your freebies. These are the ways that you get people in. So I have free ebooks and free things. And so you get people up the ladder, you give them a free thing, and they trust you and see great value. And then, oh, I want to sell this cheap thing, which is a gateway product. Okay, $7. Yeah, you gave me so much value, I'll do that. Well, gee, now I have this course for 47. And so they trust you and they give you more and more money as you build this relationship. And it's called the value ladder. And then it brings my $495 and $695 coaching. It doesn't give me, this platform doesn't take me to the high ticket sales. So I'm kind of looking to really focus on the online course as the way to do this. And so as of today, using ClickFunnels, my one $297 a month subscription, I've built 8 online job search courses, and it's for the same fee. And they're all, trust me, they're wonderful courses. But then I was talking with a coach, it's like, I was getting ready to launch them about a month ago. It's like, what do I promote? You know, I've got like this cover letter and elevator pitch. They're little $7 cheapie courses. And this one is my interview. I'm charging $97, but how do I put them all together? What do I sell? Do I sell the resume? I've been selling that for a year. It's not really working. Do I go with this? Or how do I monetize all this valuable information? And then one of my coaches said, what you really need to do is put it together in a masterclass that you can then charge $297 for, add all these bonuses that Russell teaches us in ClickFunnels. And so I've done that, and I've just now launched it. I put my first ad out yesterday at like midnight, and it was approved, and I haven't even looked at the results yet. So I did a whole bunch of ads, launched this last night before I sat down to write this presentation. So through the coaching that I got with ClickFunnels, and they have absolutely awesome coaching, I have built this platform, which is so exciting for me because it allows me to share my expertise and make money at it. And there's a proven pathway of success. And they are so good at, there's so much training. I could spend 24 hours a day doing ClickFunnels training if I chose to. So there's so much valuable training. And so I'm also on June 1st.
Uh-oh.
To people. So I had people sign up, but then they fell off and they never really completed all the modules. And so I've made corrections. So I relaunched it, and I sent out my first mass email using a ClickFunnels script. and had great response yesterday. And so I'm negotiating because of this to become an official career coach for a new employment job board that one of my friends is setting up. And then I'm preparing a new marketing platform that I'm really passionate about that shows more upside in the value ladder, that has more $350 coaching, and then has a $2,000 event, and then has a $5,000 mastermind kind of long-term coaching. So I'm looking at doing something else that I'm very passionate about. And that platform is called the Grown Ups Guide to Running Away from Home. So I'm going to teach retirement age women like myself how you can live in paradise on your Social Security check. You can live here a lot better than you can in the States for $1,000 a month. Trust me. And so that brings me to secret number 3, and that's to learn the process and to get coaching. So you need a good coach like Dawn's an awesome coach. You all know that, right? And I learn from her every day. And she has shown me a performance-based accountability system. That woman is awesome. I mean, I'm amazed at her plan, and she knows what she's doing every day and what she's going to achieve. I don't do it that well, and maybe that's why I'm not as successful as she is. But take full advantage of training. There's so much training out there. And you just need to invest in training. I've invested a lot of money in training. You also just need to invest the time, which I hadn't done until this last December. And then another thing is to harness the power of the group. And that's what's so powerful about what you're doing right here is you have so many talented people right here in this group that you can share with each other. You can mentor each other. You can critique each other. You can provide advice. And that group that's facilitated by Dawn is a powerful resource that really can be very important for you. And then learn to get help for the things that you can't do or that are not a good investment of your time. So I pay virtual assistants in the Philippines $3.30 an hour. I charge $100 an hour for coaching, and I pay them $3.30 an hour. So things that they can do for $3.30 an hour are not productive for me. I need to take that time and get a new client and spend 10 hours working on that client and let them do the work in the background. So I have graphic designers and I have video editors, and I have a gal who's doing the LinkedIn posting, and I've just hired someone, and we're actually going out and proactively reaching out to all the media outlets, and I'm booked on speaking on radio and podcasts 2 or 3 to 5 days a week. And so I'm doing a lot of media things. So find the things that you can do well and find the things that you can outsource. And one of the things that I found is on Dawn's recommendation, I hired the same virtual assistant company that she has because she was able to recommend a gal who does wonderful ClickFunnels because the guy I had wasn't very good. I had hired somebody and he just didn't really know what he was doing. And so I have somebody that I really, really like. And based on her recommendation as a mentor of me, I was able to find somebody for peanuts who can do a lot of the ClickFunnels things that I can't do. I'm pretty good. I can make a lead magnet, but there's a lot of stuff I either don't want to do or I have problems, and I make her teach me. So we get on a Zoom call at 1 o'clock every morning, my time, which is 9 o'clock her time. And if I have a problem, I make her teach me while she's fixing it so I can learn. So she's doing my work, but she's also continuing to mentor me. And then to create partnerships. And I think affiliate programs are a great thing. I have a ClickFunnels partnership or affiliate. I haven't marketed it yet because I'm trying to market my thing right now first because I have so much to sell. But I'm doing that, and I want Dawn to set up an affiliate marketing program for what she's doing, because what she's doing, I want to market to my runaway from home people. And in the meanwhile, get to know people and have fun in the whole process. And that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm glad to be part of this group. Here's my contact information. You can always find me through Dawn, of course. But if you want any help or want anything, I'm here. And so anytime I can be of help or share some insight, I'm absolutely glad to do that. So that's kind of my story, and I'm sticking to it, Dawn.
Oh, that's fabulous, Diane. And I'm going to ask you to please post the contact information, that last slide, in the group, because I don't know if anybody in the group is more leaning toward a job than a business, but I know, I just want to give Diane a shout out. My youngest brother lost his job in this coronavirus mess, and she was just so helpful. I reached out to her, and she actually said, "Give me his number. I'm going to call him." And she, instead of waiting for him to call, because he's pretty devastated. He's a single dad with 4 kids. So I was obviously very concerned about him. And so she just was so helpful and providing him with resources. So there might be a situation like that too in the group, where maybe somebody needs help for a family member or friend or something that could use the resources that you have available. So fantastic information. Diane, I want to just kind of highlight one thing, because I don't want people to come away thinking, and I was just kind of laughing as you showed the slide with all the 5-figure investments you made in learning this process. And I know I feel, and I just want to bounce this off you, but I personally feel like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have found the One Funnel Away challenge 10 years ago. I didn't exist 10 years ago, of course, but if I had had that foundation in the beginning, oh my gosh, what a difference it would have made. And so I just want people to know, like, you don't have to do it the way we did it, the hard way, right, Diane?
Yeah, that's the journey. I wish I were there now. I mean, I would have spent that money or as much of it if I had found this earlier, because I've gotten so much from this. I've learned what I didn't know. It was just this journey of trying to figure it out and doing the best that I could. And then, like, I spent all this money trying to sell a book. Well, nobody's buying books. You can't be a publisher. I actually got, when I launched my second book, I went and got distribution in bookstores, and 6 months later they charged me back $495 because they didn't sell them. They just, it's like this journey.
Oh, yeah.
And I got here, and now I have a solution. I didn't have that solution before December. When I went through the challenge, it's like, oh my God, now I know where to go. I didn't understand the value ladder. I was stuck with all these things and it didn't put together. And I think one of the first things when you go through the online challenge, the first whole week is strategy.
Yes.
It's mindset and strategy. And it's like, okay, I didn't have that. I didn't understand that. It cost me $100,000 not to have that, right?
Not to know that, right.
And so now I have that. And so that's when it all started to come together, is through that wonderful coaching program. And I think it's a wonderful investment. I've sent links and invited lots and lots of people to do it, because that's the cheapest thing that I've ever invested in this whole process. After
and the most value. I think it's the most value. I mean, I've spent, invested. I don't like to say spend, because it all is an investment at the end of the day. And no matter what we do, you can't go wrong investing in yourself, which is what we've both done. At the same time, the other thing that I've learned, and so, you always want to follow somebody that's, a little bit farther than you. Sometimes the people that are way farther ahead than you, like, you can't really relate to them. But the people who are just a little bit farther than you are on the journey, that have invested, the kind of money that we're talking about in coaches or programs or whatever, that didn't work. Sometimes those are the best people to follow, because they've already made those mistakes, and you're benefiting from their mistakes and saying, oh yeah, don't do that. I tried that didn't work. You go, oh, okay, great. Because you don't know what you don't know in this whole process.
I'm hearing all that. I did all that and it didn't work. I'm a better person for it, but it didn't bring any money. I invested all that money and it didn't result in anything. And $100 investment in the One Funnel Away challenge gave me the direction that I need.
Yeah.
But awesome. I wouldn't have been here if I hadn't, well,
with the beauty of it for you though, and for me too, I think because of everything that we did do, I mean, we have a lot of content. So when you get to the One Funnel Away challenge, you go, okay, well, I've got a lot of my content. I just need help putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And so that's helpful. So, I always say, I mean, I worked on a course, a year and a half ago that I didn't end up marketing, but it's valuable content. And now that I understand more the who, the what, now I can take some of that content that I put a lot of effort in. So things are never wasted. It seems like they always come back around, and things, there's always a journey, and that's just part of the process, right? Is being comfortable with the fact that, like my dear husband always loves to say, being in electrical engineering, he said, we didn't get to the moon with the first rocket. And that's really, really the truth of it all, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm here where I am today, because now I have a path forward. Now I know how to get where I want to go, because back in December, I was just spinning my wheels. I didn't, I was like cranking up. I was doing resumes. I can do that, but that's not personally challenged. Now I have a path, and it really came through that value ladder of talking with people. Say, where do I go from here? I got a $47 course. What in the world do I do with it? Make more $47 courses, but that guidance, putting it together, the value ladder. Oh my God.
I totally agree with you. And that was probably one of the biggest epiphanies that I had as well when I did the challenge a year ago. Was I didn't know what a value ladder was. I didn't understand that whole concept, and it just made a whole lot of sense. And it also was like, oh, okay. Because sometimes, like people look at everything you've done, you go, oh my gosh, it's so much. Well, you started with one thing, right? And then you built another and another. And so you can't, it's good to have an overall plan. That's the strategy part that you're talking about, is like, okay, what is the journey? What is the process? And you've laid it out so beautifully in this career coaching space. And then you go, okay, where is the best place to start? And that's where it's really helpful to have some coaching and mentorship available, and to be able to have conversations with people who have kind of gone through that process. And that's hopefully what we are generating here within this group, is to be a mastermind type of sounding board for each other, to kind of say, hey, what do you think about this? And, oh, well, have you thought about that? And, just sort of being resources for each other to bounce ideas off of. So I'm very excited about that.
It's awesome. And I'm looking forward to having a steady recurring income, and I'm going to learn the process, and that's what we're here for. I think affiliate marketing is great. That is one of the things I will do. And I have an affiliate program through ClickFunnels that other people can market my course. So affiliate marketing is a great option. And so we need to look at these ways that we can live better, sharing our expertise, but we don't have to do it hand on mouse every day. There are ways to multiply your expertise, and this is one of them.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because, my market is helping entrepreneurs. Your market is more helping people with jobs, although there's, some overlap, like you said. But that's what I think a lot of people need to understand too, is the markets are so huge that it's so easy to collaborate. It's about collaboration, not competition. And a lot of times I think in business, sometimes people are maybe a little reluctant to share because, oh, I don't want to, give away my secrets or whatever. But you can't look at it that way, right? You look at it to say, okay, some of your folks may get to the point where I was when I was looking for jobs after I got fired from the firm. I was looking for another job and I wasn't finding it. And so I ended up in entrepreneurship because I wasn't finding the job that I wanted. And so there's going to be people like that. Or maybe somebody is in a high demand field and they've been, like my husband was self-employed for 25 years. And then his field just sort of went away, his area that he was working in. And so he ended up taking a job for a couple of years. And because of all the experience he had running his own business, he was a hot commodity there. So, there's definitely overlap there. And that's the thing I think too, is if you think about, okay, what are some natural collaborative partnerships that I can be a part of and be able to have, cross referrals and, like you say, affiliate exchanges and so forth. So I find that very exciting. And that's definitely part of what I'm building into what I'm doing. So Awesome. Well, I won't take any more of your valuable time. I appreciate you so much. And I'm so glad you're here on the island and we get to see each other often and brainstorm. You've just been a delight to work with. And I know we have very exciting things ahead. So,
Yes. And whenever the world comes back together, we are going to Funnel Hacker Live together.
yes, in March.
We paid for our tickets. And share a room, and we're going to get there and we're going to walk across the stage. Okay.
That's right. All right, Diane. You have a good rest of the day, dear.
Wonderful Friday.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And I'll drop a link, a couple links in the comments so you guys can follow up on some of this stuff. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.